The jungle changed after the mark appeared on Jacob's face. It was subtle at first. The air felt heavier, the nights seemed longer, and the shadows deeper. But it was the eyes, those glowing, watching eyes that disturbed him the most. Every night, after the sun set and the cold mist rolled in, Jacob's camp became a stage for silent watchers. He'd see them at the edge of his firelight figures, tall and thin, barely moving, just standing between the trees. Their eyes glowed, like faint lanterns reflecting back at him, unblinking. At first, Jacob thought they were wild predators, but they never attacked. They never crossed the circle of his camp. He just watched. His sleep became shallow, disturbed by whispers that echoed inside his head, voices in a language he couldn't understand. Some nights, he woke up drenched in sweat, the glow on his cheek pulsing like a heartbeat. By the fourth night, Jacob had enough. He stood by his fire, pistol in hand, shouting into the trees, "Stop watching me. What do you want?" No answer. Only the rustle of leaves and the shimmer of eyes in the dark. Then, a soft sound, footsteps, delicate but sure. From the trees, a figure stepped forward. Not one of the watchers, but Hertha, alien girl who marked him. She stood under the faint moonlight, her patterned skin gleaming, her silver hair falling over her shoulders. She didn't look threatening. If anything, her eyes held sadness. "You came back," Jacob muttered, lowering his pistol slightly. She stepped closer, but not too close. She pointed to his cheek, where the glow was strongest. "It grows," she said softly. Her voice was melodic, barely more than a whisper. "What is it doing to me?" Jacob asked. "The bond it pulls. Attunes me. Where?" "To you." She nodded slowly. "To me. To my people." Jacob sighed, frustrated. "Why? I didn't ask for this. I didn't agree." She tilted her head. "You saved a child." "What?" "You saved a youngling from the swamp vines," she explained. "I saw you risked yourself." Jacob remembered days ago. He had cut a small alien child free from a deadly vine trap. He hadn't thought much of it, but she had seen. "My people watched," she continued. "We choose those who are worthy. Worthy of what?" "The bond." Jacob shook his head. "You keep saying that, but what does it mean?" She looked down, struggling to find the right words. "It means ... You are not alone, but you must accept. And if I don't..." Her eyes darkened. "Then the stalkers will come." Jacob's heart raced. "Those things, watching me." She nodded. "If you deny the bond, they take you, tear you apart. Mind and body." "Charming," Jacob muttered, feeling the weight of her words. "The bond protects," she whispered. "But it must be completed." "How?" She stepped closer, her hand barely raised, as if wanting to touch his face, but scared too. "You must come to the heart of the jungle, to my people." Jacob hesitated. Gosh, he was a human on an alien world. Walking into the heart of a jungle full of things watching him didn't sound smart. But the mark was glowing brighter every day, and the watchers were closing in. "What if this is a trick?" he asked, watching her eyes. She shook her head softly. "If I tricked, you would already be dead." "Fair point." Jacob looked into the jungle, dark and full of eyes. He looked back at her, standing quietly, waiting. "Fine," he said. "Take me to your people." Her face brightened slightly, not a full smile, but close. She nodded and turned. Stepping into the dark trees, Jacob grabbed his pack and pistol. The glow on his cheek now pulsing steadily, as if sensing the right choice. He followed her into the jungle, leaving the safety of his camp behind. As they walked, the watchers melted away into the shadows, their eyes vanishing one by one. The stalkers didn't need to chase him anymore. He was coming willingly. Jacob followed the alien girl deeper into the jungle, his steps cautious but steady. The night seemed quieter now. The stalkers no longer watched him from the trees, yet the silence carried a weight of expectation. Like the jungle itself was holding its breath. The girl moved gracefully, barely disturbing the leaves under her feet. She would glance back now and then, making sure Jacob was close, but she said little. She had no name for him to call, not yet. She was a mystery wrapped in glowing patterns and silver hair. After hours of walking, she stopped at a wide clearing. There, beneath the twin moons, stood ancient stones arranged in a circle. Vines wrapped around them, but faint carvings showed faces, animals, and symbols that Jacob didn't understand. "This is where we speak," the girl said softly. "Where we speak? About what?" "About the bond." Jacob dropped his pack, eyes scanning the clearing. "You keep saying the bond, like I'm supposed to understand." "You marked me. Now, explain it properly." She stepped into the center of the circle, her eyes fixed on his. "Among my people, the Shaltha to bond is sacred. It is our way to choose someone worthy to share strength, mind, and life." Life. Jacob frowned. "You mean ... forever?" She nodded. "Until death." That hit Jacob hard. He wasn't prepared for this. "But I'm human. I can't share a life bond with an alien." "You already carry the first sign," she said, pointing at his glowing cheek. "Your body accepted my mark. But the bond is not complete until you accept it willingly. And if I refuse," her eyes lowered, "you will weaken. The bond will break you. And my people will come to claim your body, to return the mark to the earth." Jacob stared at her, the words sinking like stones in his stomach. This wasn't a simple choice. It was a path with only two ends, and complete the bond or die and be taken. "Why me?" he asked, his voice quieter. "You could have chosen anyone." She looked at him deeply. "Because you saved a child. Not from my people, but from the jungle. No Shaltha would dare fight the swamp vines ... but you did. You risked your life." For a stranger, Jacob remembered. That little creature he cut free, thinking it was just a scared animal. He never expected anyone to notice. "Among us," she continued, "that is rare. Courage without reward. I watched ... and I chose." She walked closer now, standing only a foot away. "But if you fear ... I will understand." Jacob looked into her eyes. There was no malice, no trickery, just honesty ... and loneliness. She had chosen him, but she was also giving him a choice. "Why did you return to me?" he asked. "Because I did not want you to die," she said simply. That sentence lingered between them. Jacob's chest tightened. He was alone on this planet, thousands of light years from Earth. But here was someone, something not human, yet willing to share a bond deeper than any handshake or deal. "And what happens if I say yes?" He asked carefully. "We complete the bond. You come to my people. You will change, but you will not be alone." Jacob chuckled bitterly. "Change into what?" She shook her head. "Not into us, but stronger, protected, connected." The jungle wind blew softly, carrying the scent of flowers and damp earth. Jacob thought of his lonely camp, the watchers, the merchants' fearful warnings. He looked at her, this strange girl who could have let him die, but didn't. Finally, he sighed. "Fine, I'll come." Her eyes glowed a little brighter. She didn't smile. He wasn't sure her species did, but there was warmth in her gaze. "Then follow," she said, turning towards the dark paths between the trees as they left the clearing. Jacob felt the glow on his cheek pulse again, but this time it didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a guide, like a connection had just gotten stronger. Somewhere ahead, her people waited, and somewhere inside him, A change had already begun. Jacob followed her through the jungle, but this time, everything felt different. The air wasn't just thick, was alive. The trees seemed to whisper secrets in a language he couldn't understand, and the shadows didn't feel empty anymore. They felt like they were watching, judging, waiting. Hours passed, maybe more. Time blurred in the endless green. The alien girl moved swiftly, never hesitating, as if every stone and root was familiar. Jacob's muscles ached, his mind heavy. With questions, but he didn't stop. He had made his choice. Finally, the trees opened to reveal a hidden valley glowing faintly under the twin moons. Strange stone structures covered in moss stood in circles. At the center was a wide pool, its water shimmering with light from beneath. Around the pool, dozens of figures stood silently the Shaltha. They were like the girl, but older. Taller, with skin patterns that glowed in waves across their bodies. Their eyes were sharp, curious, and cautious. As Jacob stepped into the valley, he felt every gaze land on him, weighing him, measuring his soul. The girl turned to him. "This is the heart of my people. No outsider has stood here before." Jacob swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. "And what happens now?" She pointed to the pool. "The bond must be completed here." Jacob looked at the glowing water. "How?" Before she could answer, an elder stepped forward, his body marked with deep, ancient patterns that glimmered like constellations. His voice was low, but strong. "You carry the first mark," the elder said. "But you are not one of us. The bond changes you, or it breaks you." Jacob tensed. "Changes me how?" The elder's eyes narrowed. "Your mind will open to hers. You will feel her thoughts, her feelings. Your strength will grow, your senses will sharpen. But if your will is weak, your mind will shatter." Jacob stared at the pool, understanding the risk. It wasn't just a ceremony. It was a test of who he was inside. "And if I survive," T asked, "then you will be hers, as she will be yours. Protected, connected, ... until your final breath," the elder said. Jacob looked at the girl. Her eyes held no fear, only patience, waiting for his decision. "This is a lot," Jacob muttered. "I didn't wake up thinking I'd mind link with an alien today." "You can still leave," the elder said. "But the mark will consume you soon. There is no middle path." Jacob chuckled quietly. "Story of my life." Without waiting, he stepped forward and placed his foot into the glowing water. It was warm, soothing, and alive. He stepped in fully, the water rising to his waist. The girl joined him, standing across from him, her eyes never leaving his. "What now?" Jacob asked. She raised her hand and touched the mark on his cheek, her palm. Warm and soft. As soon as she touched him, the glow from his face spread across his body in thin, glowing lines. Like veins of light. Then it happened. A rush of emotions, thoughts, and sensations flooded Jacob's mind. He felt her curiosity, her loneliness, her wonder at his world. He saw flashes of her memories, playing as a child under these very trees. Watching her elders, seeing him save the alien child from the vines. She had chosen him not just for bravery, but because in that moment he was selfless. Jacob staggered but stayed standing. The connection didn't just show her to him, showed him to her. His pain, his past, the battles he'd fought, the friends he'd lost. She saw everything, and she didn't look away. Their eyes locked. No words passed between them, but the understanding was clear. They were linked now deeply, truly. The elder's voice echoed around them. "The bond is complete." The girl removed her hand. Jacob's body still glowed faintly, but inside, he felt ... whole. Stronger, he could feel her presence like a warm light in the back of his mind. calm and watching. He took a breath. Is it done? She nodded. It is done. The other Xiao nodded in approval, their eyes no longer filled with caution, but respect. Jacob had passed the trial of the bond. As they stepped out of the pool, Jacob felt lighter, clearer. The jungle didn't feel so alien anymore. The shadows didn't frighten him. And the girl? She wasn't just a stranger now. She was... something more. A part of him he didn't know he needed. But he also knew this was only the beginning. The bond had given him strength, but it also made him a part of this world. And in the dark corners of the jungle, something else was watching, something that did not welcome outsiders. No matter how strong their bond, the bond was complete. But Jacob quickly realized it was only the beginning of a much deeper journey. When he stepped out of the glowing pool, his body felt changed. His senses were sharper. He could hear the soft rustling of leaves far away, smell the distant rain before the first drop fell, and feel the steady presence of the alien girl in his mind, like a quiet, steady heartbeat. She stood beside him, her glowing patterns now dimmed, as if the ritual had drained her. Yet her eyes sparkled when she looked at him. She could feel him too. Their connection was alive. We must go now, she said softly. Where? Jacob asked. To the hidden village. My true home. The bond may be complete between us, but the others must see your heart before they fully accept you. Jacob raised an eyebrow. Didn't I just survive the glowing pool? Isn't that enough? She smiled faintly. No, my people respect the bond, but they trust only when they see action. We must walk the old path. Jacob sighed. Let me guess, dangerous. She nodded. Very. Without another word, she led him into the deeper jungle, past the ancient stones and into tunnels of thick vines and towering trees. The light grew dimmer the further they went, the air thicker, cooler. Every step forward felt like stepping into a dream, where the world was alive and watching. Jacob quickly learned that the jungle was more than trees and leaves. It breathed, shifted, and whispered. Strange creatures flitted between branches, some with too many eyes, others with wings like glass. Flowers that glowed softly in the dark hummed when brushed. But beauty wasn't the only thing in the jungle. One night, as they made camp near a glowing river, Jacob felt a presence heavy, watching sensation pressing on his mind. The girl, sitting across the fire, suddenly tensed. They follow us, she whispered. Who? Jacob asked, reaching for his pistol. Ravagers, not my people. Shadows that live between the trees, feeding on the unbonded. Jacob stood, scanning the jungle's dark edges. He saw nothing, but then he heard it. A low guttural growl, like stone grinding against bone. Red eyes blinked in the shadows. They can't harm you easily now, she said. But they will try. Jacob gripped his pistol. Let them try. But the girl raised a hand. They must be shown. Before he could ask what she meant, she stood and faced the darkness. She touched her own cheek where a faint glow still rested, and then she sang. It wasn't a song Jacob could understand, high and low notes, mixed with clicks and hums, but the jungle seemed to respond. The trees shivered, the leaves shook, and the red eyes in the dark pulled back, hesitant. The song was a warning, an ancient command that Jacob's bond amplified. He felt it too, deep inside, a signal that he was not prey anymore. He was part of something older. The ravagers watched from the dark but didn't come closer. Eventually, their growls faded and the red eyes vanished. Jacob lowered his pistol, still on edge. What was that? A song of claim, she said. It tells the jungle, you are mine. And I am yours. Jacob swallowed hard, feeling the truth of it deep in his bones. Days passed. and they faced other dangerous bridges of rotting vines over bottomless pits, storms of razor-sharp rain, and creatures that mimicked voices to lure travelers into ambushes. But each time their bond warned them, guided them, kept them alive. Through it all, Jacob noticed something else. The girl was changing too. She smiled more, spoke more, asked him about Earth, about humans, about stars. She had chosen him, but now she wanted to understand him. They laughed together, fought together, and even in the quiet moments. Their connection was unspoken but strong. At last, after many days, the trees parted to reveal the hidden village. It wasn't made of huts or walls, but living trees shaped into spirals and towers, glowing softly in the dark. Waterfalls of light flowed between them, and the air hummed with gentle energy. Her people waited there, watching silently as the bonded pair approached. Jacob stood tall, the glow on his cheek, faint but steady. He had survived the journey, the trials, and the jungle itself. But he knew, deep inside, that this was still not the end. The hidden village held answers, but also new challenges, and the bond between him and the alien girl. It was still growing, changing, pulling them closer, in ways neither of them fully understood yet. The hidden village stood like a dream woven from light and wood. Jacob stared in awe, watching the trees shaped into tall spires, their branches twisting like the arms of ancient giants. Soft lights danced between them, living creatures glowing. Gently, like floating lanterns, the alien girl stood by his side, her presence a steady warmth in Jacob's mind. Their bond made him feel the life around them, the hum of the village, the watchful eyes of the Shalfa, and her quiet, patient heartbeat. They approached a wide platform where the elders stood waiting. Among them was the same elder who had spoken at the pool, his body marked with lines that shimmered like stars. "You have come far." "Human," the elder said, his deep voice echoing across the platform. "You wear the mark. You survived the jungle. But do you understand what it means?" Jacob stood straight. "I've been told I'm bonded, that I'm marked. But I still don't fully understand why me." The elder nodded slowly. "Many believe the bond is a choice of the body. But it is more than that. Tit is the soul's choice, even before you know it." Jacob frowned. "What do you mean?" The elder glanced at the girl. "She chose you because your soul called to hers, not just because of bravery, but because of loneliness." Jacob's breath caught. He hadn't expected that word, loneliness. The elder continued. "You saved a child not for reward, but because you didn't want to feel empty. The jungle is cruel, and life is short. But when two beings feel the same emptiness, the bond answers." Jacob looked at the girl. She gazed back, eyes glowing faintly, her emotions bleeding through their connection. She had been lonely, just like him, watching the world, waiting for someone to understand her silence. The bond connects minds. But more than that, Tit heals what is broken, the elder said. Her song called to you, and your heart answered. Jacob swallowed hard, he thought. About Earth, the wars he'd fought, the friends he'd buried, the nights alone under cold metal ceilings. Out here in this alien world, he didn't expect to find ... connection. "What happens now?" Jacob asked quietly. The elder smiled. "Now, you live. Together, your bond is lifelong. It will grow, evolve, shape both of you." The girl stepped forward then. She reached out and touched Jacob's cheek again, just to feel the mark, but to feel him truly. Through the bond, her feelings flowed into him: curiosity, happiness, hope, and something deeper, unnamed but warm. Jacob smiled softly. "Still don't fully get it, but I'm glad I didn't run. For the first human to bond with us," the elder said, "you have shown great spirit. The jungle itself will now accept you." The bond will protect you, and so will we." The villagers murmured their approval. The air filled with quiet music as lights floated higher. The jungle seemed less dangerous now, less foreign. But Jacob knew the biggest change wasn't in the jungle, it was in himself. He wasn't alone anymore. The girl finally spoke, her voice gentle, her silver hair catching the soft lights. "You are part of my soul now. I am yours, and you are mine." Jacob chuckled, all from a face lick, huh? She tilted her head, confused by the joke, but smiled anyway. They stood together, human and alien, bonded by fate, choice, and something neither of their species had words for. As the twin moons rose higher, Jacob realized this was no longer just a mission. It was home. And as the connection between them deepened, he knew his life had changed forever.